Jessica Bowita Park had been a casting director for exactly 2 years. Her MFA in voice acting from CalArts was recent, her ideas about modern performance were strong, and her confidence in her taste was unshakable. So when the older actor in the booth delivered a read that felt too big, too theatrical, very 1990s Disney, she gave notes. Contemporary animation is more subtle. Can you bring it down? The actor nodded. Of course. Or, if you have a minute, I could show you a few different approaches to the character. Jessica, pressed for time, declined. We're good, we'll be in touch. As the actor left the booth, Jessica's assistant leaned over. Do you know who that was? Jessica looked at the sign-in sheet. Robin Williams. The color drained from her face. She'd just told the voice of the Genie that his approach was outdated. It was April 2017, and Next Gen Animation Studios was casting for their first original series, a fantasy adventure show destined for a major streaming platform. The studio was new, the budget was substantial, and the pressure to find the perfect voice cast was intense. Jessica Park, 29 years old, had landed the casting director position 6 months earlier. Before that, she'd worked as an assistant for a year and a half. Her CalArts MFA, completed in 2015, had focused on contemporary voice acting techniques. Naturalistic delivery, subtle emotional shadings, the kind of grounded performance that modern audiences expected from animated content. She knew her stuff. She'd studied under professors who'd worked on everything from Pixar films to prestige adult animation. She understood that voice acting had evolved beyond the broad, theatrical style of older Disney films. Her assistant, Marcus Chen, had been with the studio longer, 5 years, working his way up from intern to production assistant to Jessica's right hand. He was quiet, efficient, and knew the industry inside and out. The casting session that Tuesday was running behind schedule. They'd seen 12 actors already, with 8 more scheduled. Jessica was looking for a specific quality for the character of Sage. A wise mentor figure who'd seen centuries of history but maintained a playful spirit. The breakdowns had gone out through standard channels. No big names, no expensive talent. Next Gen wanted to discover fresh voices, build their own stable of actors. At 3 p.m., an older man walked into the waiting area. Marcus checked him in. Robin Williams, no agent listed, self-submission. Marcus's hand froze on the sign-in sheet for a moment, but he said nothing. Robin was wearing jeans, a faded t-shirt, and a baseball cap. He looked tired. He'd been dealing with health issues, though nobody at NextGen knew that. He'd submitted for the role on a whim, missing the work, missing the creative play of voice acting. Marcus led him to the booth. Jessica, reviewing notes from the previous audition, glanced up briefly. An older guy, probably someone's dad trying to break into the industry. She'd seen a lot of those lately. Whenever you're ready, Jessica said into the talkback, her attention already half on the next scheduling conflict she needed to solve. Robin put on the headphones, looked at the sides. A scene where Sage teaches a young hero about the nature of courage. Then he began. The voice that came through the booth speakers was full of energy, rich with character, moving fluidly between wisdom and whimsy. Robin played with the lines, found jokes that weren't written there, gave the character 1,000 years of experience wrapped in mischievous warmth. It was brilliant. It was also exactly what Jessica had been trained to reject. She hit the talkback button. Can we bring it down? Modern audiences want something more grounded, less cartoony. This feels very 1990s Disney. In the booth, Robin nodded. Of course. Would you like me to try a different approach? Jessica checked her watch. They were already 20 minutes behind. Actually, I think we're good. We have what we need. Thank you for coming in. Robin smiled politely. No problem, thanks for seeing me. He took off the headphones, gathered his things and left the booth. Jessica was already pulling up the next actor's file when Marcus leaned over. Do you know who that was? Jessica looked up, annoyed at the interruption. Who? Marcus pointed at the sign-in sheet. Jessica looked down. The name written there in neat handwriting, Robin Williams. The color drained from her face. Robin Williams. The Robin Williams. Mrs. Doubtfire. Good Morning Vietnam. Aladdin. Aladdin. She'd studied his Genie performance in her animation history class at CalArts. She'd written a 20-page paper analyzing how it revolutionized voice acting and animation. She'd argued that his improvisational energy and character voice commitment changed industry standards forever, opening the door for celebrity casting and dynamic performances that broke the mold of traditional animation voice work. And she'd just told him his approach was very 1990s Disney, and needed to be more subtle. Jessica stood up so fast her chair rolled backward. That was Robin Williams? Marcus nodded, his expression carefully neutral. Why didn't you tell me? I thought you knew. His name was on the sheet. Jessica looked at the sign-in sheet. It was right there. Robin Williams. She'd glanced at it and not registered it, assuming it was someone with a similar name, or a cruel coincidence. He's probably still in the building, Marcus said quietly. Jessica ran. She found Robin in the lobby, putting on a jacket, about to push through the front door. Mr. Williams, wait. Robin turned, a polite questioning look on his face. Jessica reached him, breathless. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I should have. Your name was right there and I didn't. Robin held up a hand. It's fine, really. I appreciated the opportunity to audition. You shouldn't have had to audition. You're Robin Williams. Everyone auditions, Robin said gently. That's the job. Jessica felt like she was going to be sick. I told you your performance was too theatrical. I told you that your voice acting was too theatrical. Robin smiled, and there was no anger in it. You gave me a note based on what you're looking for. That's your job. You're looking for a specific sound for your show, and what I did didn't match that. Nothing wrong with that. But you changed voice acting, the Genie. You literally revolutionized how animation works. I did a job I loved, and I got lucky that people responded to it. But that was 25 years ago. Animation has evolved. What you're looking for now is different from what worked then. Jessica shook her head. No, you don't understand. I studied your work at CalArts. I wrote my thesis paper on how the Genie performance changed industry standards. I analyzed your improvisational technique, your character commitment, how you brought theatrical energy to animation and made it work. And then I just told you that same approach was outdated. Robin looked at her for a moment, then said gently, Can we sit down for a minute? They sat in the lobby chairs. Marcus had quietly followed and now stood at a respectful distance. What's your name? Robin asked. Jessica Park. Jessica, can I tell you something about the Genie? She nodded, unable to speak. I did that performance in 1991. I was 40 years old, I'd been doing comedy for 20 years, and I threw everything I had at it. Every voice, every impression, every manic burst of energy I could generate. And it worked for that character, for that story, for that moment in animation history. He paused. But I couldn't do that performance now. I'm 65. My energy is different, my voice is different, the industry is different. And you know what? That's okay. What you're looking for, grounded, subtle, naturalistic, that's not wrong. That's evolution. Animation grew up. Audiences changed, the work changed. But you invented the style I just rejected, Jessica said. I contributed to a moment of change, Robin corrected. But styles evolve. What was revolutionary in 1991 can feel dated in 2017. That's not a criticism of the work. That's just time. Jessica felt tears starting. I'm so sorry. You came in here, and I treated you like an actor auditioning for a role. Which is exactly what I was. Robin's voice was kind but firm. Jessica, you didn't do anything wrong. You gave me a professional note based on your vision for the project. The fact that you didn't recognize me? That's actually kind of nice. It meant you were listening to the work, not the name. I should have recognized you. Why? I was an older guy in jeans and a cap, doing a cold read for a streaming show. Nothing about that situation screams famous actor. You were doing your job. Marcus stepped forward. Mr. Williams, if I could say something? Robin nodded. Jessica did recognize the quality of your performance. Even while she was giving you notes, I heard her tell me earlier that your read was technically brilliant. She just thought it wasn't right for the specific character we're casting. That's actually good directing. Jessica looked at Marcus, grateful. Robin smiled. See? You were doing exactly what you should do. Serving the project, not chasing a name. They sat quietly for a moment. Then Robin said, "Can I ask you something about your thesis? The one about the genie?" Jessica nodded. "What was your main argument?" Jessica took a breath, trying to remember her academic voice. "That your performance broke the unwritten rule that animation voice acting had to be controlled and understated. You brought theatrical energy, improvisation, and celebrity personality to animation in a way that hadn't been done before. You proved that big, energetic performances could work in animated films, which opened the door for everything that came after." Robin listened carefully. "That's a generous reading. But here's the thing, I wasn't trying to revolutionize anything. I was trying to make my kids laugh. I was doing voices and characters that made my own children giggle. The improvisation? That was me playing, the same way I'd play with them at home. It worked for that movie, and I'm grateful. But it wasn't a manifesto. It was just joy." He leaned forward. "What you're doing now, looking for grounded, natural performances. That's the next evolution. You're not rejecting what I did. You're building on it. Animation went from stiff to theatrical to naturalistic. That's growth." "But what if I'm wrong?" Jessica asked. "What if I'm throwing out something valuable because I think I know better?" "Then you'll learn from it," Robin said simply. "That's the job. You make choices, some work, some don't. But you can't be so afraid of being wrong that you don't trust your instincts." He stood up. "I should go. But Jessica, seriously, don't beat yourself up about this. You were doing your job well. I was wrong for the role you're casting. That's okay. Would you?" Jessica stood up too. "Would you be willing to come back? Not for this role, but for a different character. We have a smaller part, a wizard who appears in 3 episodes. Much less dialogue, but it might fit a different energy." Robin smiled. "Send me the sides, I'll take a look." He shook her hand and walked toward the door. Then he stopped and turned back. "One more thing, Jessica. That thesis you wrote about the genie, keep that analysis, but don't let it make you precious about the past. What worked in 1991 doesn't have to work now. Honor the history, but trust your instincts about the present. You clearly know what you're doing." He left. Jessica stood in the lobby for a long moment. Then she turned to Marcus. "I just told Robin Williams his voice acting was too theatrical." Marcus nodded. "Yes, you did. And he was kind about it. Very kind." Jessica sat down again. "I need a minute." She thought about her CalArts thesis, about the hours she'd spent analyzing Robin's Genie performance, breaking down his improvisational techniques, his character choices, his revolutionary approach to animation voice work. And then she'd failed to recognize him doing exactly that work right in front of her, and told him it was outdated. But Robin had been right. It was outdated for this project. The show Next Gen was producing needed grounded performances, not theatrical ones. The genie's energy would have overwhelmed the more subtle storytelling they were trying to achieve. She'd made the right creative choice. She'd just made it to the person who'd invented the style she was moving away from. 2 weeks later, Jessica sent Robin the sides for the wizard character. He recorded it in one session, gave them exactly what they needed: wise, warm, subtle. It was beautiful work, nothing like the genie, everything the show required. When the series premiered 8 months later, critics praised the voice acting as refreshingly naturalistic and perfectly calibrated for modern animation storytelling. Robin's wizard appeared in 3 episodes and was a fan favorite. Jessica kept his signed thank you note on her desk. "Thanks for trusting your instincts and for teaching this old dog that evolution isn't rejection. Keep making bold choices. Robin." Years later, when Jessica was teaching a voice acting masterclass at CalArts, she told the story. April 2017, Robin Williams auditioned for me, and I told him his performance was too theatrical and felt very 1990s Disney. He'd revolutionized voice acting with that exact approach, and I dismissed it as outdated. She'd pause. He could have been offended. Could have reminded me who he was and what he'd accomplished. Instead, he taught me that evolution in art isn't about rejecting what came before, it's about building on it. His theatrical energy opened doors. My generation's naturalistic approach walked through those doors into something new. Both can be true. Jessica would then play clips of the Genie and clips of contemporary animated performances, showing students how the art form had evolved. Trust your instincts, honor the past. But don't be so reverent toward what came before that you're afraid to do something different. Robin taught me that the best way to honor revolutionary work is to keep revolutionizing. The older actor in the booth had been right for his time and wrong for hers. And both of those things were okay. That was the lesson. Jessica Park had told the voice of the Genie that his approach was outdated. And Robin Williams had taught her that outdated just meant the foundation we're building on.